had a special election on June 29th, 2020 for a proposed override of $3.25 million to close the budget deficit and to fund the operating budgets. Just to refresh everyone's memory, the actual number needed to provide a true level of service, meaning the level service budgets that were submitted for consideration by the departments and the local schools to provide the same service as the previous year, that budget was $4.664 million. So we knew that number was too high. We wanted to reduce that deficit down to $3.25 million, and it involved cutting local school and town department expense budgets and creating an assumption that all the employees would take pay freezes for the year. This resulted in a reduction in the department and the local school budgets of over $1.4 million. Just 40% was attributed to the mandatory expenses. As everyone knows, the proposed override failed, so the local schools and town departments have to absorb another $3.25 million in cuts. So the total cuts to town departments and local schools from what they had submitted for level service budgets was over $4.6 million. That's equal to almost a quarter of the operating budgets for the town departments and the local schools. Town meeting approved, we had a special town meeting that approved the review and analysis of some specific town parcels to potentially auction or sell off those parcels to earn more revenue for the town. This project is currently underway. And then, as many of you know, the former public safety building will be sold via public auction in the next few months. They've negotiated host community agreements for a marijuana facility, as well as numerous pilot agreements for solar farms to help generate more revenue. If you've been any of the Board of Selectmen meetings in the last 6 months, there's been quite a bit of discussion on the continued evaluation of a new water source to allow for future growth in town. And this year we engaged in targeted negotiations with our unions in an effort to keep the salary increases and the budgets as a whole within under a 2.5% increase in order to align with Proposition 2.5, which is the amount that taxes can be raised. So without any restoration of services, without any cost of living increases or contractual increases for the town departments and local schools that haven't already been negotiated, at this time, and again, it is a little early, but at this time, the budget would be in deficit by approximately $330,000. That's without any restoration of services. And then so the question tonight is, does the board want to consider a ballot question to restore some, not all, of the critical services that were lost last year? Restoring the firefighter, paramedic positions, and bringing back the second ambulance. That's a cost of $550,000. If you were in our last few meetings, you would have heard Chief Alexander talk about the SAFE grant funding that he's applying for. That potentially could help us out by $450,000, but there's no guarantee we'll receive those funds. Restoring police officer positions, $245,000. This does not include the permanent replacement of a police chief. It just fills the positions that were not able to be filled and restores some of the staffing in the police department. Restore hours and pay reductions for town staff. We have begun talks about the possibility of hiring a shared facility manager, and then Plainville Local Schools has submitted today to restore some of their critical positions, $657,000. The one thing that you have to add on to the majority of those numbers, which are the full-time, for the full-time folks, are the estimated additional insurance and pension costs.
And one of the things that makes me hesitate about picking a number tonight is that I want to pick as good a number as we can pick that gets as much critical stuff back as the people in town think is critical, and that will pass. That's where I'm feeling a little frustrated that I don't know what that good number is.
The fact is that if we took the 195, it's a lot better than the 325, and that's 1.3 less than the last time. I'm almost attempting to try to get something tonight and consensus with the three of us to try to put something together. So at least we have it, and then we can try to educate the people between now and the election time.
I think a sub $2 million override is a lot more palatable than a $3 million plus override. You know, if that brings back all the critical resources in town, I think that's something we should put in front of the town to say, do you want all these folks back? I know that, you know, from each department head, they feel that this is absolutely critical to restore moving forward. This is a big one. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, Mr. Johnson.
As advertised, I'm going to say no.
I made the motion, so I'm gonna say yes.
Listen, I don't like this as much as the next person. I don't like that we're in this position, but the only reason I'm even here tonight, the whole focus of this effort on my
You have
behalf,
to fix it.
I'm fixing it. And this is the best way I know how, and it's a multi-pronged approach here. This is one of them. It's a big one, but it is totally necessary and has a stopgap measure between now and town meeting if we don't require all of it. I vote aye as well.